Sioux Empire United Way meets the needs within our community by funding more than 80 different services. We help children, vulnerable adults, and people in crisis through a variety of services. Good happens across our community every day through United Way funded programs, and that is especially true now as our community handles the impact of COVID-19. Today, we have Tracy from Bethany Christian Services, Safe Families for Children, here to talk with us and tell us a little bit more about what they have been doing. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's good to see you, Annie.
Oh, it's so good to see face-to-face, even if it is just through a virtual online experience. So
yes.
All right, well, let's get started with our first question. Will you tell us a little bit more about what you do with Safe Families for Children within our community?
Yes, Safe Families for Children has been in Sioux Falls for 7 years. And our passion is to help people in the community who want to build a friendship with another family in the community, and particularly during a time of a temporary crisis where a family really needs some extra supports, specifically in caring for their children while they resolve the temporary crisis. So we see crises like in short-term incarceration, homelessness, treatment centers, hospitalizations, a lot of different scenarios, but we go about matching families that want to help to the families that need the help. And really the whole purpose is to build a friendship in order to keep children safe during that crisis and to support the parents. So we really fit into the United Way's people in crisis category.
Absolutely. So will you tell us how many people you have served in the last year or so, as well as we talk a little bit more about, what is the term of stay? Is it, a one-day thing? Can it be a couple weeks? Will you kind of explain a little bit more on that?
Mm-hmm. Well, typically we're receiving each month anywhere from 10 to 30 phone calls that are appropriate for safe families, for families that need help. And over the course of a typical year, we will provide hosting arrangements for children, anywhere from 40 to 80 children per year. Last year, we did about 60 hostings, and right now, we've gone through some different waves of quietness and then activity. So overall, I would say since, we've been in this stay-at-home phase, we've maintained what we would typically do, even with those quiet phases and busy phases. And typically, you had asked Annie how long children are hosted. So we will host anywhere from a day up to even a year long if the crisis would warrant that. But what we see most of are 4 to 6 week hostings. So even during COVID, right now we've fluctuated. We've had some existing hostings that have continued that started before we were all in this historic phase. And we've done some new hostings that were anywhere from a day for a medical emergency that was non-COVID related to a few weeks for evictions, even though in our county, our mayor has asked landlords not to evict. As you know, Sioux Empire and ourselves, we also serve the surrounding counties. And so some of those counties have experienced some evictions, unfortunately, and we've been able to help in those situations. We've also been able to help with non-COVID medical issues. If you can imagine, pregnancy, babies don't wait during pandemics. So we've been able to help some families who have had to go through labor and delivery in hospitals and they need a safe place for their other children, or even perhaps the parent themselves has COVID, and when they deliver, they're separating the infant immediately so that the infant, the newborn, is not exposed to COVID. So we've been able to help in a few of those situations. Even our women's prison, they're taking, those extra precautions to protect newborns from the general prison population. And so those newborns need a safe place to go if inmates don't have family to take them. So those are some of the things that we've been busy doing. And of course, we're doing it differently than we have pre-COVID. So we are doing a lot of digital, all of the forms that parents need to fill out to make this a safe process for the volunteers and for the children. We're doing it digitally or over the phone. We've met in parking lots. We've done it outside of the hospital parking lot. So, I mean, we've had to be innovative and creative, and so that we can meet the needs and really connect the families in our community that want to help with the families that need the help, and to do it safely.
You definitely touched a lot on the adjustments you've made. What other types of adjustments? I mean, typically you would have churches get involved or members of the community be able to help in different ways to at least help with those families. And, is there any other adjustments within that aspect of what you do?
Yeah, like I said, Safe Families is really built on the relationship, the friendship between the two families. And so one of the hard things for us during this season is the limited contact in order to just keep everyone safe. So typically during Safe Family hostings, we have back and forth visits between the host family and that the child is with, and then they might go back and see their own family, mom and dad, or a relative, and we've had to just stop that in order to, keep everyone protected. So that's a really big difference. I was talking to some volunteers yesterday, and they said, when this is all over, can we set up a time where we can just meet this family face to face? Because you really do fall in love with the child, with the family that's being helped, and they want to have that ongoing friendship. So we're thinking, okay, how can we do this creatively when this is all done and we go back to as normal as possible? But to really foster that friendship. And as far as volunteers coming on, I mean, we continue to get volunteers who go through our website to apply to be a volunteer host family. The host family focuses on the child. We also have volunteer role as a family coach, and that coach focuses on building the friendship with the parents. So anyone can go and do that at safe-families.org, fill out the application, and we're going through the approval process remotely as much as we can. And of course we have to do the home assessment safety check piece once I can get into people's homes safely. So that's delayed a little bit, but we're still getting everybody in the process.
Is there anything else that we can do as just a general community member for you and your families as we continue to social distance?
Yeah, a couple of things that would be really helpful for Safe Families would be donation of any gift cards, like to a Walmart, Target, grocery store. So for host families that take in children, that's just that extra piece of help. Our host families are volunteers. They don't receive a stipend. This is a free service to the families that are in crisis and need the help. So as we get to know them, we're often listening to what their needs are, and sometimes a gift card can help them as well. And ultimately, we need more volunteers. So if anyone is really feeling compelled to do something, Sioux Falls is such a generous city. I think there are so many people that want to help, and they want to do it safely. So if anyone really kind of feels compelled to open up their home to host a child, to make room in their schedules to befriend a parent, we would really welcome more volunteers. We've had to say no to a couple of families that have been in crisis because we just didn't have enough host families. So, when we have families that have multiple children, we have to separate those children often. And so there have been a couple of situations now during this COVID stay-at-home phase that we didn't have enough families that were available to take school-age children specifically. and teenagers. So we'll take volunteers for any age child, but really, if anyone feels compelled to do hosting for elementary and teenagers, we would love to get them in the approval process as soon as possible.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing all of that. As a final question, is there something that you haven't shared with us yet, in addition to, what else do you want people to know about Safe Families and Bethany Christian Services as we continue forward and when there is a time of less social distancing too?
I think one of the things that have touched me the most during this time is that all of our existing volunteers, one of the first things they did was to call all of the parents and families, the kids, who they have helped in the past, and to check in on them and say, how are you doing? Are you safe? Are you healthy? Do you need anything? How can I encourage you? And that's the beauty of Safe Families, is that it isn't just a program that you do for a certain length of time. It's a friendship, and so they stay in contact. So to see them really wrapping around past families who they've stayed in contact with has been a beautiful thing to watch. And they've brought them supplies, they've brought them food, some have welcomed them back into their homes if they needed a place to stay. So it's just been really touching to see our city, through Safe Families, continue to impact these families long after their Safe Families hosting has ended. One of the things that we got to do as an agency was to deliver books to any of the past families that needed them. We had a large donation from Barnes & Noble from their holiday book drive. And it's a big adjustment to homeschool your children. And a lot of these families were excited to just get that little extra drop off at their doorstep from Safe Families and Barnes & Noble to say, hey, we care about you, and we know this is a challenging time with your children at home to navigate schooling and filling your schedule stuck in your home. So those are really two highlights from my perspective of what's been happening lately with Safe Families.
Awesome. Well, that's so great that you guys were able to do that, and that all of your volunteers are continuing to think about those children and families. Okay, so our definite final question is a little bit more of a personal question, just telling us a little bit more about you. Have you, created any new habits or a new schedule that you've been able to do at your home or with your family during all of this time?
Well, my husband and I have 3 children. 2 are in college and 1 is a senior in high school. So they're all back home. So that's been an adjustment. But one of the fun things that we've done is our high school senior is a dancer, and she was in a yoga class in her last semester at high school. So about 3 to 4 mornings a week, we clear out our living room and we lay out the yoga mats and we all do yoga together. So that's been kind of a new fun habit. We go on lots of walks. We've been, neighborhood walking out at the different state parks, and that's been super fun. And we also typically pick up some type of takeout food at least once a week. So we have our favorite spots, Slim Chickens, and we love Tokyo 26. That's so good. So yeah, we've, found ways to treat ourselves and to keep our spirits up even in the midst of being isolated at home.
That's awesome. That's kind of fun that your daughter's willing to help with that, with the yoga, and it's good to take some of that self-care.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to work out at home, especially if it's not your normal thing. So, to have somebody in your house to be able to kind of give you that extra push is always good too.
Yeah, I think she's enjoyed telling us all what to do for a short amount of time each morning.
I bet. Well, I hope you guys are able to continue that even after, she goes to school too. So
that would be great. Sure.
Yes. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us a little bit more about what you guys do and your adjustments through all of this uneasiness that, we're going through. And we definitely appreciate all that you do.
Thanks, Annie. We appreciate being able to give an update and share the stories.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Take care.